Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, I want to tie together an important element of the informational energetic fields. Now, this may not be overly interesting to people on a certain technical level, but it's important. We are always bombarded by what is the religion of science, science-ism. Who wants to tell us they know everything when they know nothing. This is somehow giving a clarification or credibility to a particular area because scientists tell us something. Now, there really is only one understandable theory of the way the world works, which is the only correct one. Now, certainly there's variances, and as we go on, we'll find out different terms, different understandings of it. Now, the scientists have taken quantum physics, even those people who are claim to be involved in it as theoretical physicists, like Sean Carroll and others, have really distorted it because they don't really understand what's going on. And they think they know everything from the pieces they have, and they're going to put the puzzle together when they are missing all kinds of pieces, and they're so arrogant to think they know it. Now, I understand how things basically work, and how it comes down to put the final puzzle together will always be a little bit different as our understanding goes from very primitive understandings, the meat and potatoes, physical reality that we have had for 500 years, Newtonian understandings, even though Newton was an alchemist who dealt with, guess what, subtle energy physics, really, because that's what alchemy is. But they globbed onto one aspect of his writings, along with his numerous Christian written books and everything else. Quite a character this guy was, and a celibate, or at least was unable by the institutions that he lived in to marry, which is interesting that the educational system in Britain was like that. But the reason I mention these things, this is what makes up people's characters, how they think and act. So, very religious, celibate, living in a very restricted environment. So, what does that mean? Well, that means you get Newtonian physics, a kind of constipated way of looking at things, all clogged up. So then we move into, which is not necessarily new. You're talking about going back at least 100 years. It's hard to believe or find out the exact date of when, quote, quantum physics became more accepted. And quantum means the lowest measurable amount. Quantum is not a word that means big. It means tiny. So another thing people don't quite understand, but people love that word. But this has been taken and stirred and mixed, and people are going in the wrong directions. What they're doing is taking Newtonian physics and adding in the quantum physics to kind of spin it a little. Well, everything's connected, but no information can transfer. It's just kind of made that way. Like breaking a cookie in two pieces and saying, well, one piece is connected to the other piece. Yeah, because it's a cookie. It was one cookie. It was this. So that's exactly what they're saying. But once they're broken apart, they're broken apart. Are they similar? Well, yes. But there is no information exchange. There's nothing going on. There are no energies that we don't know of. I mean, Sean Carroll really shocked me when he said there's basically no energies coming from your head. There's no such thing as psychic empowerment whatsoever, even though there's 150 years of literature and modern studies done by all sorts of highly qualified people. Not Raji Maji from the local gypsy fortune-telling store. These are people who are accredited people with very high degrees, probably much higher degrees, and in practical areas that old Sean Carroll doesn't have. So, and he's a theoretical physicist. So, maybe this, maybe that, pay me money because it's maybe. So, I always have problems with that kind of thinking to begin with. I don't think there should be theoretical physicists. There should be physicists that try and do things better by taking what they have to figure out how to do something better. And this should be a part of everybody's job. How do you do something better, more efficient, and that gains higher results? But no, we pay people to think about these things. Typical dumbademia. So as we get involved with all these things, we need to understand the functioning of these particular institutions. So what they've done is taken quantum physics, which the whole world now runs on, whatever that means, because there really is a very poor definition of what quantum physics are. We're talking about, then there's the entanglement theory, which is meaning that one, as I just mentioned, one matter is connected to another, or whatever it is, but there's no exchange of information, which of course is absurd. So, and proven to be absurd. And how does this whole thing work? Now, how do you exchange information from one, basically, energetic informational field is what the universe is made out of, otherwise known as occultons. And there's different levels of occultons and different things that mix there. And you can get very complicated how this then forms other matter and so forth. And this will be coming out in my extended course and some books and other things I will be putting out on this subject matter in the future, which will contain everything in one place. This is kind of a little intro and a little extra info. So the whole idea is that how does information pass from one to the other? There's no such thing as instantaneous. Based on the theoretical physicists who are studying quantum physicists, they don't disregard Einstein's theory that was never proven that things do not go faster than the speed of light. They think that this is a hard, fast rule, plain and simple, and they've said that directly. Sean Carroll has, and so has some other noted people. So they all believe that there isn't anything faster than that. So, now, you think the speed of light is fast? Well, it isn't. Now, when we look at space travel, we talk about light years. So that planet is 1,000 light years away, meaning it would take light, it would take the speed that light is at, 1,000 years to get there. So if you shot a laser beam at that planet, it wouldn't arrive for 1,000 years. Whoa. Does that get you to understand how slow the speed of light is? So the speed of light is very slow. And if things had to work at those to do all sorts of actions, that there would be a delay. And this delay would be basically be so severe that it would disrupt the way things actually manifest. Now, we're talking about instantaneous connections. Now, why is this? And what is instantaneous? And how do we get over this actual speed problem? Well, one of the problems is we have to look at the fact of that these occultons, these informational energetic fields, are everywhere all the time. It just depends on the psions, the interaction with it, which can come from you or somewhere else, to mold those into what you want to have things happen. So it's constantly there, you're just molding it. When you mold it and connect to it, it's instantaneous. And instantaneous, there's no speed involved in it. Instantaneous means it's there. Now, it's not 100 light years away. So it's instantaneous. So I get, people should wrap their head around that, just like certain things of the terms unlimited. People don't understand unlimited is just that. So the grains of sand on a beach are limited. Unlimited means there is no limit, meaning it just goes on and on. So these are two words that are overused, and people need to understand their deeper meaning instead of the casual way we use things. So, what is the component within these energetic informational fields, within the occultons and within the psions? Where do they come from? What are they made of? Well, ultimately, what they are, which has been defined by scientists in their own little pathetic way, is the fact that they are tachyons. Now, tachyons are very interesting understanding, but tachyons are faster than light, or you could say instantaneous informational energetic fields. So tachyons are going so fast and carrying information with them, or what's put in them, or they're affecting bringing in information, that is instantaneous. So the point is that that's how the information goes back and forth. They are, as we talk about on so many ways of using technologies, well, you're piggybacking on top of tachyons. So the tachyons, which are moving at instantaneous speed levels, are moving information back and forth. That's why everything is instantaneous. So that's what we can name, that's what science does, by the way. They give names to things like, oh, science has figured it out. They've given a name to that. Ooh, they must know something. So the whole idea is that's what they do. And then they come up with these elaborate theories. I mean, they're like movie scripts. Well, you got this energy out in space, and this happens, and then look out, another thing's coming in. Or, well, we figured something else out. Yeah, that first story was kind of ridiculous, but now we got a new ridiculous story. I'm a scientist. So the whole idea is that, they pay people to think and come up with things and to put together from their limited base of information. Now, if Sean Carroll cannot read the literature, which is critically important to understand matter and what's happening to it, if he can't read the literature coming from parapsychology because he thinks it's all garbage. Ooh, what garbage? Nobody can have any energies coming from their heads to change anything, or wherever it comes from. It doesn't have to come from, as I've mentioned many times, energies come from your entire body, and there's too much focusing on the head. One has come to my attention recently that, things like your digestion system is producing chemicals that are normally thought to come from only your brain. Well, it just shows you've got two brains, possibly three, because it also has been stated that the heart, and this is why the Egyptians gave the heart so much. They thought it was a type of brain, and we've laughed at that thinking it's only a muscle. Well, it's not. And they're producing all sorts of interesting brain chemistries, which make sense as well. Why would your body be dependent on one source of chemicals that are essential for your well-being? So all of this needs to be understood, but he don't get none of this. It ain't in his little books that were written 5,000 years ago by a celibate religious nutjob who on the side was making little chemical things. Energy things, converting gold to metal, or metal to gold. So, this is what alchemists were actually doing. So, but of course, we ignore the fact of that was happening. So the point is, he's got all these old texts that are written time and time again. Someone like him will come and write another text. Well, that's the new text. Yeah, with all the old junk in it, because you'll look at his bibliography and it'll tell you where he stole everything from. Have he come to any new conclusions? Well, maybe a line or two, but basically he's regurgitating all the other misstated facts that are in the old books. And that's all old books work. So, it doesn't matter where they come from. There are new techniques, new everything, and these tend to be ignored, particularly by scientists who are too busy trying to stay in favor with their colleagues and keep their checks coming. So as we get into that, we need to understand it. So it's the tachyons that are moving these energies at these speeds, because they're going to say, well, all these fields you talk about, what does that mean? They're not, well, we're defining them so people have a better understanding of it's a tachyon field. It's faster than the speed of light. It's instantaneous transfer of information, and that's how things actually work, and that's why you're able to affect something. This happens when you're creating a type of tachyon energy field, which is what these fields that are created when you project energy, when you dial in a radionic consciousness machines. These can be best defined as faster than the speed of light energy fields. Now, tachyon is a general word, so we're talking about some sort of energy field which is labeled at this particular time. Now, we could say this is a psychic tachyon field. It's a radionic tachyon field, so that people understand that you're doing stuff at instantaneous. They've done these kind of studies where people were put in submarines and vaults and everything else hundreds of miles away, and the information was gained instantly from the person projecting it to the people there. So not only does it penetrate every possible physical substance, but it transferred. They didn't wait, okay, we're transferring the psychic information. Let's wait 2 hours. Well, or even minutes. It was transmitted instantly. So all of that needs to be understood in the processes that are going on here, so everyone gets what these kind of energetic informational fields are all about. So they aren't informational fields. They're not just sending information. They're energetic. They make things happen. So I think it's an important aspect because a lot of people talk about informational fields and they think, well, the informational fields make things happen anyway. Well, I think that's when you use the term informational fields, you're not defining what's happening. That's why it's important to give them energetics. So all of this happens. Now, tachyons are something that is very difficult to harness and use. There's been some suppliers of these out there for many years. We have been selling some where supposedly you use a process which makes a substance or an item or a material, whatever it may be, makes it an antenna for tachyons. And this whole process is not known to the public. It is kept in secrecy by the manufacturer. And this then slows the tachyons down so that they can be used for you. So you're getting this very pure energy that you take in that vitalizes everything to a certain degree. So like all these kind of products, they do give you an edge, 5-10% edge. They are far from miraculous. I haven't seen them cure, quote, anything or bring the levels of anything up to a degree. And we've tested certain growing things, etc. And the conclusions are, yes, something is happening there, but like all of the products I've tested, nothing is profound, even though there's always a little boost, which could be significant depending on your personal situation or what you're doing. But we use them and continue to use them because it's very pure energy. Because when something is moving at this particular speed, it not picking up all the toxins that are in your environment, like when you use orgone type energy, which is basically accumulated from the environment. So this is a problem when you have a very toxic environment. So tachyons don't do that. You're not accumulating them. You are drawing them into you as an antenna and slowing them down. And this is a very important process when you're working on informational energetic fields that are a similar nature, meaning these are tachyon type fields that are faster than the speed of light, that instantaneous affect things. So when you put somebody on a radionic machine and you're trying to affect them, it happens instantly. So they're immediately connected to the machine. Now, how long that takes to make changes within whatever you're contacting, whether that's a plant or a person, is dependent on many factors, but changes are taking place instantly. It's not a build-up, even though it will take time to make major changes in people, or plants or anything else. So it's not going to happen instantaneously, but it's happening at a pretty fast rate compared to other things. But this is how the fields are going back and forth, and that's why it is instantaneous when you transfer information, energetic information to another area. So you are transferring information. This is happening instantaneous, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the very faulty misunderstanding that Einstein had and all his drop-knee butt lickers that constantly follow people like this who get it wrong. He was proved wrong with quantum physics by the scientific establishment itself, but they keep holding on to this paradigm that this is a fact when we know that there are particles out there like tachyons and many others that are going faster than the speed of light. So that's a bogus way of looking. But what are the top physicists saying? The theoretical physicists on top of it. They're basing their information on old, proven to be wrong facts, and they're getting paid for it, and they're influencing everybody else. After all, as Sean Carroll says, he knows everything that's out there. There's nothing really to be found. It's just, how do we apply what we know? I mean, how arrogant, how can you be a theoretical person or a scientist at all, thinking you know everything, you just got to figure out what you have in a world that is so complicated? So this is the kind of nonsense. But the connection between tachyons, radionics, and your basic psychic empowerment is all there. This is the energy field that's being transferred, and it is of tachyon nature, meaning it's faster than the speed of light. How fast is it? What is instantaneous? You can't put a speed on that. It's instantaneous. There is no transfer. It's there. Boom. It's done. And this is something we have to come into full grasp of and understand that this is what quantum entanglement was supposed to clarify, yet apparently the quantum physicists, the theoretical physicists, haven't gotten the understanding that this is exactly what is going on, even though tests have shown that, and time again. And of course, it really bothers me with any kind of people that if they're not reading literature in a wide variety that even kind of affect their stuff. If you only read books written by other physicists, well, you're never going to get anywhere. What's the crossover? So what is this? Why are other people saying they're getting information this way? And there's been 150 years of parapsychology research proving all sorts of things that just break all the laws of physics and science. And this is not something that is just done by a few quacks. This has been done over 100 years by very qualified people, as it's still being done by qualified people today. And they're not looking into that to figure out, well, I'm a theoretical, I think he may be. Well, why don't you think he may be with the literature that's been written by qualified scientists who are saying what you're doing is bogus? William Bankston, the great healer with a PhD, who's instantaneously, or not instantaneously, but he's sending information to cure animals and people, and they're being instantaneously affected by the energy. It takes a little time to heal, without having any kind of connection whatsoever, where they're hundreds of miles away, or someone putting energy into a bit of pure cotton gauze that then transfers that energy to somebody else. Well, that's an informational energetic field. That's being transferred to someone else. And you don't have to put it into a substance. You could put it just directly at that person. Now, how does that work? Well, he's going to say none of this works, even though Bankston has 30 years of very professional scientific research proving what he's doing. So what does this mean? Well, the fact is I have a real problem with people, and you get this all the time, that know nothing about their literature. Now, people who are ignorant, buffoonish goofballs like stage magicians, what school did they? I went to the school of magic at the local store. I learned how to trick people from a magic trick that's been around for 100 years. But I made it special. I mean, these are the kind of, they're not agents. Are they reading the information that has been done by noted scientists? Have they seen all of the videos? And of course, this is what happens with people like Uri Geller, who was proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, with photographs, by the way, movies taken of him, but they were not able to be released except 40 years later. And I'm not sure how much of that was released. So after 40 years, nobody really cares. The damage has been done by the ignorant people who haven't graduated high school, that are convicted felons. All the people that are involved in these skeptic groups are your lowest level scumbuggers. But you won't get the parapsychologists do that. They're too busy hiding behind their desks, the little cowards that they are. So the whole idea is you're never going to get anybody to confront any of these people because they are ignorant and don't have basically any kind of courage whatsoever to stand up for their personal beliefs. They write a paper and that's their little proof of anything. Well, I mean, it's not enough. These people get out there and are constantly showing proof or making people look foolish, like the Johnny Carson incident with Uri Geller, which is the fact that he didn't fail. People, well, he failed on the car. He didn't fail on the Carson show. He refused to be set up. So there's a big difference. And nor is this something that is because Johnny Carson was setting him up, the little arrogant little jerk that he was. I mean, this is a guy who has a very bad reputation in general, was known for his violence, his nastiness, and everything else. And of course, because he started out as a little bit of a magician when he was 15 down there in Nebraska, I'm a genius, I know. I can trick people so everybody can. So this is the kind of nonsense. It doesn't even make any kind of sense at all. So the fact is how the two even equate, I have no idea. So the whole idea is that we need to understand that. We need to understand what's working, and the fact that nobody is reading anything outside of their own little box, and then they expect to have breakthroughs. Well, they're never going to have breakthroughs. Nothing's ever going to happen in science. And as they always say to scientists, science changes with every dead body that's dug and placed in the ground. Because when someone dies, that opens up a new thought to a degree. But you got to remember, his old thoughts are still there, his research, his books, etc., just as there will be with Carol, which will actually hurt the entire field because it's too specific instead of being general. They don't have any answers. They never do, never will, and we still are getting in this really psychotic, evil reality that we live in now that seems to be getting worse and worse. So, not understanding and looking into these things because they don't consider it has any value. Well, I don't consider their studies have any value. They are theoretical physicists. They don't have any proof of anything. They're taking what's known and trying to figure out what they think is known, which doesn't mean that it's real or valuable. It's known and trying to figure it out into some workable system. Well, that's how all research works, but it's very, very closed-minded and will gain no results, as everything that these people do. So, to kind of capsulize it here, the bottom line is that all the transfer of information, no matter what machine you are working with, is done in some tachyon-type fashion. And this is also why we've, for now over 30 years, have been using some sort of tachyons in our machines, our products, etc. Generally, this is all part of what we put on there. We also put on there special sacred geometric seals, images, etc. These kind of things create a huge amount of tachyon-type energies as well. So if you're using a symbol, well, these symbols have energy in it, and they're instantaneously transferring that energy into whatever they are connected to. So symbols, images, energetic informational field representations. This could be a radionic rate. So you put the numbers that you dial in. Well, what you're doing is naming a tachyon field because that's the field that you're transferring because it's instantaneous. So using that number is another way of connecting to a stream of empowerment as a sigil would do, meaning it's, again, these are more shape vibrational images. That's what sigils are. They tend not to have numbers in them, but a number is a sigil. It's a made-up design, and if you look at advanced mathematics, it's one giant sigil. It's just a bunch of goofy little designs. They're not using regular symbols as a general rule. They're using all sorts of things that mean things. This means add, this means subtract. All the things they're doing are with that. So I don't know how many people get into advanced math, but I mean advanced math in itself is quite interesting, even though I think it causes more clogged brains than assistance. So all of these things represent informational energetic fields. And informational energetic fields, to define them a little more, are tachyon in nature, meaning they're faster than the speed of light. They are instantaneously affecting whatever target you are sending them at. And it is instantaneously changing things from that particular point. So hopefully that's clear, and of course that's more on subtle energy physics, the only really science that has any value. We've went back all the way from the kind of silly mysticism that predated what we consider rational science of today, which really isn't true. We've thrown the baby out with the bathwater. Alchemy, using different quote, spirit or unknown type energies, which were tossed out for the, let's combine this together for physical matter by Newton, did give us a certain understanding of critical things in nature, which helped to a lot extent, helped engineering, which is really not a science. Engineering is basically helps us do things practically, build bridges, houses, etc. So that did help in that area for people to understand these things, because it's hard to build a building with quantum energy fields. You need to get into the more physical. But the problem is the physical took over and generated what we have today. And now it's been cast aside as we go into the 21st century. Pretty much everybody of any real understanding believes in the quantum physics, quantum entanglement, this kind of very hazy understanding that all matter is one, everything is connected. So there's a little energy of this in everything because it's part of this whole, of the whole. So this is kind of understood to a degree, but has also been still being influenced by old world thinking and those people that were awarded and patted on the head because they regurgitated all the old information in the old book. So this is how it always happens, and this is how things always stay the same. So as that's being cast aside, it's going to take a long time for people to get into the understanding of this really tachyon revolution that we need to now start embracing, which basically comes down to the instant exchange and of information that happens with a tachyon field. So that's what's happening. Why is that? That's what all the areas of what we could call manifesting sciences, the occult sciences, psychic sciences, parapsychology. They want to use a lot of words saying the same thing. So the whole idea is this is something that has been well defined literally for thousands of years and well researched for the last 150 years, and everybody just ignores the fact all of this research being done and goes to the old world stuff because it keeps the old world people in power and keeps them on the payroll. And it goes on and on and on with a psychotic, evil society that refuses to do anything for the higher good. They only want to do things for the lowest possible bad, which means money in their pockets, not even seeing that, there's a lot of money in other things. I mean, apparently the U.S. car manufacturers didn't see the value of making really good electric cars. So a goofball went out and did that, who's got a company that's worth a fortune and who's selling cars like crazy. Imagine if they had that business. Why didn't some car manufacturer around the world do what Tesla did? Now, Tesla is a fantasy company with a bunch of junk, basically, but people can't wait to buy them at super high prices. So here we go again. So that's what happens when you just sit there and build on the old. So this is the fallacy with business, everything else, the fallacy in life, and the believing in old comic book religions and all the other things that go on. So you never really progress past things. And people don't look at the value of religion, which is supposed to be telling you how to be a better person. No, it's all about enslaving somebody else. So here we go again. But getting back to the tachyons, that's how all of this works. That's how everything, no matter what energies you're producing in the manifesting sciences, the occult sciences, they are working on this level. That's what's going there. That's how the energy is transferred. The informational energetic field is a tachyon-based field. It's being transferred instantly. And it continues to transfer depending on what you're doing. Keep a radionic machine on, consistently do rituals. This is a consistent projecting of that field, which is constantly trying to change the actual physical matter that it is running into or you have tuned into. It's as simple as that, yet it's complex in some ways. So hopefully that makes things a bit clearer. Until next time.